Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, I'm shocked that I came on here because I tend to come on here and I'm worried about my appearance and I'm worried about my presentation and I'm worried about the way things look and how I look and how things sound. And this morning, something just told me to just be authentically you and share what has been placed on your heart and start that conversation that you were talking about in this new season. And in this new season, it's about transparency, openness, and being available for real communications. And I have a question out there. Where, how do you know that you have truly been called to do what you're called to do in life and in ministry? How has God spoken to you? How have you been revealed this information? And I'm going to stop there because I'm going to ask. I know some people say, "Oh, I took the Myers Briggs test, or I took an Enneagram test, or you took a test." And some of you may not know, I am very what's the word? Skeptical of tests, because I believe there are times where we can take a test and we can make the outcome of the test come favorable based on our answers, not based on our truth. So I believe, and then I believe there are times or seasons, um, depending on what you've asked the person or what the person is going through, their answers may be totally different. So if they're in a good season, if they're in the season of harvest, if they're in a season of plentiful, their answers may be different than if they're in the season of drought, if they're in a season of lack. And so I think it depends on where you are and where God has placed you and where you're walking based on your answer. So my question is, because I'm sorry, I've seen that there are some people that I have seen in ministry and do ministry, and I'm like, where is the heart of the ministry? Where is the heart of your service? Where does that comes from within you come out, that alludes that this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm excited for, this is what I live my life for, this is what, not for numbers, not for notoriety, not for fame, but this is what it's all about. It's about those hard moments. It's about those hard conversations. It's about having those hard conversations with parents, with youth, with young adult, and really being open and listening. And do we do that? Because I'm trying to understand how someone can say, I don't believe you were called to do XYZ. How can someone else dictate your call or your purpose? That is not the Father. So I'm kind of trying to figure out, I know in life, like we go through life and we go through seasons and we go through things where God is equipping us and He's preparing us and He's teaching us, if we're listening, to that which He wants us to do. But do we really listen? Or do we say, I can do that better than her? I can speak better than her. She needs to do this. He needs to do that. Instead of saying, well, maybe God has them in that season because maybe you're the one to walk alongside of them to teach them how to do XYZ because they don't have that experience or they haven't encountered that situation. Or when they encountered it in such a way that's not what's really going to be presented to them in all ways. Um, I can look at multiple ministers, leaders, teachers, and I can kind of glean stuff from all of them. But I still don't look at them as perfection. I still don't look at them as the finished product because I believe that we are never finished until we go home. And I'm not trying to go home yet. Um, I really think that when we speak to someone or speak about someone, you need to be careful what words we choose and which words we don't. I'm speaking for myself too. You can ask a question or you can be concerned about presentation, about curriculum, about delivery, about lifestyle, but do it in love. not with a hidden agenda, not with a to tear down, not with a to destroy, because you don't know what God has over them. You don't know what God has in store for them. You don't know what God is doing for them. And God is not going to speak to you to tell you about somebody else. He might do it in such a way so that you don't interfere, or you can acknowledge their gifts and strengthen their gifts. But each person's lesson and each person's journey is for them to endure. And so I don't like it when people tell me, or when people say, don't say this, or don't do this, or you shouldn't be this, because I have been told, and if anybody knows me, I think in my title, well, my platform is His Call, My Purpose. But before, when I was doing a season, it was Morning Thoughts with Mama D. I have been blessed with the name of Mama D, given to me by my young people that I've done ministry with. I value that name because I have been told that I have a mothering spirit, I have no biological kids. I have a lot of godchildren, but I've been told I have a mothering spirit, and I accept that, and I agree with that, and I resonate with that. But I've also been told that people can't do ministry around me because I'm too nurturing and I'm too mothering. Well, maybe that's what some people need. Maybe that's what some people, God has placed me and given me that gifting so that I can do that in people's lives that don't have it. So that's what I'm saying. When we sit here and we say that something is not so and something is not, and we talk about people's ministry and what they're called to do, and we don't understand what they're doing, we don't understand what they're saying, leave room for conversation. And that's where I think we forget to have a conversation. We forget to communicate because we want to do it the way we want to do it. We want to do it the way we think it should be done. We want to do it so that we get credit for it. It's all about the I. And if we would move from the I and join with the we, I think we could get a better understanding of a lot of things. There are things that we're going to have to journey alone. But I promise you, me personally, I would rather do ministry with a group of people celebrating life, celebrating community, celebrating growth, than to do it by myself. Think about it. So when we talk about and we speak over people's life, be careful. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you do. Be careful what you sit there and condemn, because you don't understand the journey. You don't understand the process. And you don't understand what God is doing. I think before we do all that, we should listen. And then we should love. And then we should seek godly counsel. Before you even try to talk about, I'm a correct and I'm a change. Do those things. Just listen. Love. And then go to God before you even move in someone's life or to speak into someone's life. I think that would be more powerful, and you would have more focus and more instruction and more, you would know that it's God. You wouldn't be like, oh Lord. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some things where you have to act. You have to say something instantaneously. You have to say something because the situation calls for that. But that's what I'm saying. Be mindful of those times. Be mindful of those situations. In this season, in this time that we are, much prayer, much conversation, and all of it poured, smothered, rooted in love. His call, my purpose.